Okay, great. So I've just started recording and I'll do your bio and then we can start.
Yeah.
Great. So I have Ulf Magnusson here with me. Ulf is a professor and a licensed Swedish veterinarian. He's a diplomat of the European College of Animal Reproduction and holds a position as a professor of animal reproduction at the Department of Clinical Sciences at SLU, which is based in Uppsala. Am I right?
Right.
His research his research deals with infectious diseases in livestock that affect reproduction and may be transmissible to humans, so zoonotic disease specifically. The latter holds true for his work in antimicrobial resistance as well. Ulf has a broad international network, and most of his research is conducted in low and middle income countries in Asia and Africa. He teaches veterinary students large animal reproduction as well, and he also is the lead of the Global Agenda for Sustainable Livestock's LAMP group, or Livestock Antimicrobial Partnership Action Network.
It's
Great.
true.
Thanks, Ulf. So,
Yeah.
I guess just to start with, I wanted to know where you were today.
Yeah, I'm working from home, as you can see, perhaps. And here in Uppsala now, it's winter. We have -5, just 10 centimeters of snow. It's barely possible to ski. And but the days are getting longer now. It's the sunset is at 30 p.m. So we are approaching the spring. That's nice.
That sounds wonderful. So thanks for joining us today for the webinar. I guess I just wanted to, you having a specialty in livestock antimicrobial use and antimicrobial stewardship, I wanted to get your thoughts on how animal welfare can connect to that, or if it does at all.
Yeah, I think it does. First, I would I have a slide on that. If you could share
Yes, of
with
course. Let me share my screen
audience
now. And you can see that okay?
in a minute. There we are. This is just a starting point about antimicrobial resistance to in livestock to the SDGs. Um, And if we have an AMR in the center there, the most debate is about AMR relating to number 3, human health. It's transferred from livestock to humans. And this is a risk. We don't know how large it is, but it is a risk. But AMR in livestock also affects the food security and also poverty reduction, because livestock farmers, when the drugs doesn't work, the animals become sick. And so it's also an issue for, if we call it, veterinary medicine. And then, of course, also it's a matter of responsible use of antibiotics, number 12 there. And to solve this, we have to do the partnership thing. But specifically, this is just to set the scene. And I think we have to remember that the overall approach is to reduce the use of antimicrobials. Thereby, we're reducing the emergence of the resistance. So that is the formula we are working along. But I specifically for the animal welfare connection, as you asked for, Rebecca, I have another slide. If you could show that one.
Yeah, of course. Here we go.
So this is how we think. Uh, Animal health and welfare are tightly connected. And if you see in the bottom there, this is just a conceptual drawing. That is a lot of overlap. I mean, freedom from disease is a big welfare issue. And the proportions here, this is just a sketch. You can discuss how much it overlaps and so, but that is not important. But the important thing is that they are both tightly interconnected. And if we have good animal health and welfare in our animal husbandry, we will get less infections. We have preventive measures in place, and this is a precondition for how to say, reducing the need for antibiotics. If you are not infected, you don't need that much antibiotics. And also, and this is, I think, is a very important selling point when you communicate to farmers and producers, that improved animal health and animal welfare, it increases the productivity of the animals. That is the language that all farmers do understand. Of course, notably, I don't use the word profitability here, because it could be there could be considerable cost into this, but the biological productivity that do really increase by good animal health and welfare. Is
Thank
that
you
the
for that.
answer for your question, you think?
Yeah, that's wonderful. I guess so. Then, so basically, sort of using animal health and animal management and care as sort of a way to prevent the incidence of disease and therefore reduce your need for antimicrobials, which then eliminates, even if it's used appropriately. Well, there's times when it is needed, and that is an animal welfare benefit. But then, yeah, reducing the need for it in the first place is really where you can have that impact on antimicrobial use. Is that a fair summary?
Yeah, I think so. And I should add there as well, you mentioned it, that we really need to use antibiotics when animals are sick. It's highly unethical not to use antibiotics or trying to cure them. I mean, it is such a debate now and then that antibiotics should not be used in livestock production, and that is highly unethical.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's a really important point. It's not, when we're describing advocating for antimicrobial stewardship, it's specifically that, using it appropriately when it's needed for the benefit of the animals.
Indeed.
So I was wondering, for where in your work and in your research do you see this working really well, and where do you think it needs to be improved?
Yeah, it need to be improved in many places, and nothing is perfect. I mean, most antibiotics in the livestock sector is used in intensive pig and poultry farming. Uh, but you can run intensive uh, farming with low or with no preventive antibiotics if you have biosecurity things in place, good welfare, space, etc., etc. But in general, it's in pigs and poultry, and mainly in emerging economies where they're expanding from smallholder system and upstream. So I think that's where we use most antibiotics. I have another slide here, the final one. If you, yeah, thank you. And I become a little bit Swedish chauvinistic here. Apologize for this, but asking for good examples. Um, Sweden is the country in the European Union that used the least antibiotics per animal unit. And the reason for this has, people have asked about it and so on. We tried to summarize it in this pamphlet. It's available on the internet, called Tackling Antimicrobial Use and Resistance in Dairy Cattle, Lesson Learned in Sweden. So it's a co-publication between SLU and FAO. And if you look back there over the 20, 30 years, even more perhaps, the focus has been on improved animal health and welfare rather than saying don't use antibiotics. So it has been another philosophy a little bit, I would say. And it also has been farmers, especially farmers and other professionals in the driver's seat for this. They have, or we have, because the veterinarians is a part of this, have moved to, or tried to get a better animal health and welfare all the time. And we have also support and perhaps a pressure, but mainly I would say a support from consumers, well aware consumers, and a lot of engagement from them. And then the legalization comment at the end. It is quite well described here. So this is it's a little bit, of course, this is a long-term thing, but it's a kind of maybe different mindset instead of these harsh legalizations and restrictions, etc., etc.
So taking more of a carrot approach than a stick approach, if you wanted to frame it that way.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. And uh, it's important to note that it was the farmers who took the initiative to banning feed additives, antibiotics as feed additives, or as a preventive measure in the 1986, I think it was. And
Mm.
that was the farmers' initiative, not the government.
Yeah, and that's where it's sort of that's really the component that makes it so sustainable
Yeah,
and has the increased uptake or rapid uptake, I should say.
yeah.
So Ulf, then you mentioned before that um, one of the one of the challenges or the highest area of use of antimicrobials worldwide as sort of in these emerging production systems where it's moving from smallholder to commercial intensive. What lessons would you say could you take from this Swedish example to share to help sort of prevent them from even getting to that point during that production adjustment stage?
Yeah, I think it's one thing that is overlooked. I think it's general good animal husbandry, the facilities and so on. I think there is a strong animal welfare component in that. Feed, quality water, etc., etc. Biosecurity measures, both within the farm and external biosecurity, and then on top the vaccination things. I think, uh, or antibiotics sometimes is used as an umbrella to hide these shortcomings in these three aspects. And I think veterinarians sometimes forget this basis, the good animal husbandry, and looking into other solutions. But this kind of three-step, the good animal husbandry, biosecurity, and vaccinations, I think, and then you can manage it quite well.
Thanks, Ulf. I really appreciate it. That's a great summary and some clear action points moving forwards. Thanks so much for your time.
Hmm? Great to talk to you, Rebecca.
Thank you.
Hmm?
Okay, let me stop that recording.